Hello, beautiful. I'm your host, Nicole Goff. Welcome to the Ecstatic Life Podcast, the podcast for women who want it all: health, wealth, freedom, authenticity, love, beauty, all of the hidden gems just waiting to be uncovered. This is the podcast for women who are ready to discover their inner creatrix, to discover their inner manifester, and who want to find the ecstatic in every day. Hello, and welcome to the last episode of Season 1 of the Ecstatic Life Podcast. I am recording this on the day of release and distribution because I have been battling a lost voice. Well, by battling, I mean resting since a retreat that I hosted this last weekend. So if I sound a little more sultry than usual, you can blame talking for 12 hours straight. And this is my ASMR voice. So, as I said, this will be the last episode of this season, and I wanted to circle back around to my very first episode at the beginning of this year, which was entitled, Why Ecstatic? And so I would like to reintroduce, and expand on why I chose very intentionally the word ecstatic for this podcast, Ecstatic Life. So what this podcast is about is practices, modalities, lifestyles, even products that bring more joy to your journey, that make your life more ecstatic. So I am all about highlighting things that I do in my personal daily care routine, in my mothering journey, in my business, and also highlighting other women. So I do about 50-50 solo episodes and interviews, and I love to bring on other women, especially women entrepreneurs, and highlight what they are giving back to the world, what they are bringing. I will say I too have had on 2 men. So as I've said a couple times before, Ecstatic Life is not just for women, even though they would be my target audience for this podcast. So it is not just my intention with this podcast, but my intention with the work that I do in this world to really lift women up, to lift families up, to lift people up, and to help everyone that I touch to live an ecstatic life, a life rooted in joy and happiness and excitement and mystical experiences. But not just that, to truly get in touch with themselves, with their souls, with their inner worlds, and to feel all the feelings, to feel things deeply. Because this is really the core of an ecstatic life. The word ecstatic has 2 meanings, and one can be defined as overwhelming happiness or joyful excitement. But the other is defined as mystical self-transcendence. And I feel that on the first version of this episode, the first episode of this podcast, I didn't go quite as deeply into that second meaning. But over this last year, that meaning has grown more and more important to me as I have deepened my relationship with Source, Universe, God, however you want to put it, as I have also deepened my relationship with myself and my own inner terrain, my own inner God, my spirit, my soul. And that brings me to the reason why I came up with the word ecstatic, although I don't even know if I should say it was gifted to me. So this was a download from Source that I got during a quite intense ecstatic dance experience that I had. This was one of the early ecstatic dances, one of the first few that I had been to. And this was when I was just getting ready to launch my podcast, my blog, my website, my coaching business, and it was going to be holistic life. And that is still a very important concept to me. I live holistically, and I am always in touch with the fact that things are mind, body, and soul. We are not just a physical being. We are not just a non-physical being. We are this complex trio, and all parts of us must be honored. So holistic has always been a very important word to me. But I was in this ecstatic dance and I got this download. It was like God spoke right into my head and said, if you want to be successful, you have to be ecstatic about life. And it was like I knew right in that moment that holistic was kind of too soft, kind of too played out, kind of not exuberant enough, not big enough, and that I had to rebrand as Ecstatic Life. And so right before my launch of everything, I went back and I changed all my branding to Ecstatic Life. And this has, just as every time I've gotten downloads from source like this, when I've followed them, they prove to be very wise and very true. This was something that has proven to be a very good decision for me. I feel very connected with this word now, very, very connected with this idea. But living ecstatically is not just about being happy all the time. It's not just about, joy and exuberance. It is also about living with deep authenticity and also emotional range. So really being able to feel our feelings, and sometimes that's grief, sometimes that is despair, and sometimes that is deep hurt or anger. So really living our human experience and really fully being in our senses and in this world and in this body is a part of living ecstatically. But it is also at the same time about living with devotion to awakening, to our non-physical self, with living in expansion versus in contraction. So growing, and that totally aligns of this podcast, which is to teach you ways to grow, ways to better yourself. The universe is always expanding, right? Or at least that's what we're told. Contraction, stagnation, entropy, this is like death. So this living ecstatically is the opposite of that. It's expanding. And again, holistically, head, heart, and soul, body, mind, and spirit, to choose to live in expansion every day. And this expansion mirrors Mother Nature as well. Think motherhood, think of, creation of life, feminine energy. So ecstatic also envelops all of those concepts as well. And ecstatic dance definitely taught me lessons in that area as well, how to embody expansion. Through ecstatic dance, I've learned more to open my body, my breath, my hips, my heart, my energy in a way that really mirrors a spiritual rebirth. And ecstatic dance, much like living ecstatically, it's not about bypassing pain. It's about fully experiencing both joy and pain, the light and the darkness, wholeness, not perfection. And ecstatic living definitely isn't plastering on a fake smile, fake it till you make it, push through the pain, that's not what I'm talking about at all. But actually knowing when it's time to go deep into that shadow, deep into that pain or that darkness, to learn a lesson, to mine a lesson from that, and to transmute it, to transform it, to alchemize it. And to go even deeper with the word ecstatic. So ecstasy is a state of being beyond yourself, of touching something divine, transcendental state, right? That's the second part of the definition of ecstatic. So to me now, and I've grown more and more into this over the last year since the beginning of this podcast, since the beginning of this season, my connection with God, the universe, my soul, source, whatever wording speaks to you, this has really become a sacred part of my mission to continue to connect with my higher self and to continue to try to act as an antenna to receive the messages, to receive the downloads, to receive the voice of the universe, the voice of God that wants to speak to me and through me. And the body is a vessel of divine knowledge. Embodiment practices allow us to receive insight and intuition and guidance. So as I was saying with this ecstatic dance, being able to open myself up in that way and also in communion with others in that way, that space is held by the facilitators and the energy of the other participants in that space can really shift things and allow an opening for transcendental experiences, such as the one that I had during that ecstatic dance where I was told ecstatic is the way to go, not holistic. But I have also had experiences during these embodiment sessions, during ecstatic dances particular, where grief has come up and where I have explored the depths of grief or jealousy or other hard feelings. I've really explored through these embodiment modalities, the balance of light and dark, joy and grief, softness and power, and really got to know some of those shadow parts of myself through this work as well. And this shadow work, this seeing this other side, this darker side, can also lead to a more ecstatic life. And some of the ways that I have really began pursuing expansion and wholeness and joy, ecstatic living every day for me. And these are things that I have had guests on about and that I've talked about on previous podcasts and plan on bringing these practices and more information about them. I will be having some repeat guests on that I had on from this last season. But some of these practices that have been so transformative for me that I cannot wait to continue sharing for you all. Mindfulness, breath work, embodiment rituals such as ecstatic dance, movement, intuitive movement, somatic movement, somatic healings, pleasure practices. So, joy rituals, adornment, embracing feminine energy and softness and slowness and, slowing down and feeling my body. Soul-aligned decision-making, manifestation, EFT tapping. So there is so much. Oh, and following your intuition and developing your psychic abilities. There's so much that I have learned through this work, through this podcast, through women and men who I have had on to talk about these practices. And it has been such a beautiful gift to be able to share this, to transmit this knowledge. And I am super excited for season 2. I'm going to take this 6-week break, so that I can redo my logo and cover design and get some professional photos up there. Some professional photo shoots are in the work so that I can up level it a bit. My husband has built me a podcasting studio with some soundproofing so that there won't be any kids yelling in the background, as happens sometimes when I'm in my upstairs bedroom office as I've been recording in this past year. So the podcast will be getting some upgrades. I am excited to be bringing on some new guests. I'm bringing on some real pros in the area of the healing arts, and I'm super excited to bring back some of our favorite guests from this past season for part 2s for deeper dives. During this break, I will be releasing some of the most loved episodes and also my podcast appearances on other people's podcasts. So I will not miss a week. Stay tuned. I will be back and launching season 2 on the first Friday of January. Thank you all so much, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, for following along in this journey. This has not been just a podcast for me. This has been an adventure in self-exploration, and I have grown so much from the experience of doing this podcast, and to have you all along for the ride is so wonderful. So please continue to keep reaching out, leave comments, like, share, and join my Patreon if you can. I would absolutely love to see you on there. I have so much special extras, so much health and wellness, ecstatic living bundles that are up there for only $5 a month, and I'm always adding new things to the vault. So that would be patreon.com/Nicole Goff Speaks. If you haven't done so already, follow me on Instagram at Nicole Desiree Goff. That's NicoleDesireeGoff. I do a ton of content up there, and not just for this podcast, but for my coaching business. And there is a ton of good information that I am posting every single day up there. Please let me know in the comments what this podcast has done for you, if it has touched you in some way. If it has made your life more ecstatic, drop it in the comments and let me know, please. I love your feedback so much. So until next year, until 2026, have a happy holiday, and I will see you guys again for season 2. Much love.